Hello everyone, I hope that you are doing fine. Today I am here with another topic. I would like to talk a bit about the topic which I assume is one of the most important topics in human psychology. And this is on how we can understand each other's behaviors and reactions. Many friendships have been ruined just because of lack of awareness about the fact that the way other people treat us has a direct correlation with how they treat themselves. It is about emotional capacity and how vulnerable, empathic, and receptive they are as persons to be able to receive, to tolerate, and to accept being connected to their own emotions. The fact is that many of us have learned to believe that if we love someone enough, we will help them to grow and heal, and we have just to be patient and tolerant enough to eventually catch their hearts. So such a deep, love-seeking intention makes us creating an unreal expectation to wait for the same thing come back to us. But it does not necessarily happen, as people respond to us according to their own emotional capacity and the way they deal with their own feelings and emotional states. This may create a very depressing and disappointing experience for us, as we feel neglected or that our expectations do not get fulfilled. So we can say that our bodies, vibes, and states get synchronized into each other, and therefore there will be a flexible emotional state among which your nervous system try to adapt to and mirror the emotional and mood state of the other person. And this kind of transformation of data will be constantly operating. If the other person is dismissing or shutting down or literally reenactment trauma responses, your nervous system adjusts itself to that particular emotional state. And then there will be created a negative loop by which you will also perceive the situation unsafe and will go into survival mode. So it means that there will be a shift from safe state into a survival state. And this is a triggering mechanism of self-abandonment, such that you forget yourself and your needs totally, and by betraying yourself, you would spare energy to maintain calmness and a fictive, sense of security, safety in that mutual space. Some people please, some people use humor or consciously try to minimize the toxicity or pain from a bunch of unpleasant feelings that their body register, without knowing that this is a survival response and destructive. They fail noticing that here is important to set boundaries and understand the fact that it is not about them and their value, but it's about the other person's inner world. That is why relationships are thought to be the mirror of our own vulnerabilities, emotional wounds, and weaknesses. If we had a robust sense of safety inside, we would not subconsciously fall into adaptation toward survival state. We rather stay connected with ourselves and behave calmly and in a safe and reasonable and consistent manner. This is the gateway to healing and embracing true self compared to maintaining denial and self-abandonment, which is trauma response. So the less a person is self-aware and connected, the greater possibility will be to treat other people in an unfair or emotionally immature way. So an important point to remember here is that their relationship with their inner world and capacity does not reflect your worth. If you feel so, it's about a trauma mechanism in you. Perhaps as a child, you learn to please, you learn to navigate, others' emotional states and to try your best to act as a good and lovable enough child. Perhaps you learn that love is conditional and you have to earn love by being a good girl or a good boy. Now, during adulthood, other people's difficult emotional states directly become your responsibility to fix, and literally your fault. And you can never imagine the idea that this is about their issue and insufficient mechanisms. It is their capacity which is limited and shows up here in your relational space with that specific person. It makes sense because if you were exposed to enmeshment in your family, and as a child you were removed the opportunity to learn how to set good boundaries for yourself, it will be difficult for you to recognize it, because it will be like there is no boundaries between your and the other person's emotional states. You will just absorb it, and then your nervous system starts playing in accordance with the other person's system's rhythm. It was kind of metaphor here, but I hope that you get what I mean. So your power is to separate their behavior and response from your worth. The people who feel safe inside will handle maltreatment in a whole different way compared to other people, because they have found peace in themselves. I believe that it is very relieving to realize that we cannot expect warmth, empathy, and emotional safety from people who are emotionally immature or struggle with inner conflicts. When they abandon themselves by acting out or throwing their inner pressure and conflicts and pain outside their bodies and into behavior and ugly words toward you, you should not do the same against yourself. And if you do it in an autopilot subconscious mode, it is a trauma reaction. The whole point here is that it is important to become aware of your own reaction pattern, because in these hidden and subtle moments of shift lies potential for recapturing your lost power and defining boundaries in order to protect your vulnerable parts like your inner child. Again, at a metaphor level, I would say that your innocent inner child cannot expect again to receive warmth and care and understanding from a parent who himself struggled with own emotions, and that parent's strategy is perhaps killing his own unpleasant feelings and abandoning his inner child. So it will be impossible to expect that person to not to kill your emotions and not to ignore your reactions. But the moment we really understand it, we will be more available to accepting the fact that it is only your inner child to protect here, and it is only him who matters the most here. Interestingly, I have met a lot of people who have been stuck in saving figure role schema. They usually men tended to get attracted to emotionally unavailable and dismissing partners who were clearly struggling with their own feelings and behaviors and thoughts, and also with financial and life practical problems, and had a general a low functional life. These men subconsciously found these partners who had a lot of problems. So at the first stage of relationships, at the beginning, they could see a very vulnerable, sweet girl who was in need for support and being provided and taken care of. And all of these men reported that they felt enormous empathy and positive feeling for these women, and started dreaming of supporting her forever and trying their best to provide her a good, safe life also in future. But when the relationship entered to further stages, they started unconsciously adapting to their partner's unsafe systems and felt disappointed because she turned up to be dismissive, manipulative, or emotionally unavailable. One of the bad consequences was that these men usually felt depressed and felt ignored, rejected by their partners, and they could not recognize that it is about their partner's limited emotional capacity, and it was also their own childhood wounds and probably codependency issues which made them get attracted to these partners, right? So many of them lost themselves in the process and developed depressive conditions and other psychological symptoms because their experience was rejection and helplessness because of failing to fix, to save, to change, to rescue their partners who seemed once upon a time so sweet and innocent and romantic. And as you know, it will happen to us when we are driven by unconscious survival-based powers. We just get stuck in analyzing why this is happening and why my partner is acting like this, and it is just not easy to get it, how a person can change and forget everything and so on. So this makes a risk for abandoning yourself and your needs, and getting disconnected from your truth and inherited worth. But the healing starts from realizing that your inner peace and ability to accept the situation does not necessarily need the other person's active engagement, as far as they really don't want to put effort into seeing you, to acknowledging you, or participating in a mutual healing process, and act with accountability. So such an acceptance will also bring up a grief related to losing that connection, but you may also see this loss as a gateway to your inner landscape of feelings and needs, where you get the opportunity to try, making a better relationship with yourself and get in alignment with your values. When you are in this higher mental vibe, you are not driving on autopilot, or are not stuck in those ruminations and depressive thoughts and questioning yourself, why it's happening to me again, or what did I do wrong whatsoever, right? So I hope that you have found these thoughts and reflections interesting, and maybe these reflections have inspired you a little. So please stay connected and share this message with your friends. Thank you. Take care.